Hello, Evaldas.
Hello, Evelina.
Thank you so much for joining me. So just to introduce everybody who's watching this video, I have been asked by some of my clients to give some tips for people who are working from home. And I thought, of course, I can send some sort of a checklist and an advice on how to make the most of working from home. But I thought it would be so much better if I could find a person who is very good at working from home and interview them instead. I think it's so much more inspiring when the real person can share their true experiences rather than you listening to some expert preaching tips or reading some list of advice. So I have realized that I don't have to look very far because my brother, Evaldas, has been working from home for how long now?
It's now a little bit over 5 years.
Yeah, over 5 years. And he's seriously my hero in many ways because it's not only that he's got 2 little kids at home, but even though he's working from home, he's got 2 little kids, he's still fit enough to run a marathon, which he'd done last September, and he's managing a team remotely, and he's been progressing his career quite quickly while working remotely. So I thought he's definitely going to be the right person that you guys would want to hear from him. So Evaldas, tell me a little bit about yourself. So what is the job that you do? And how are you finding it working from home?
Hi, everyone. My name is Evaldas. I'm working as a lead software developer in an international company. I'm working from home now, as I mentioned, for a little bit over 5 years. So far, it has been quite a journey, and yeah, it's as you can understand, it's a little bit different than from working in the office. And like everything, it has some advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. So overall, what would you say? Working from home is a blessing or a curse?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a blessing, but it's especially now in those times, I think working from home is a blessing for everyone.
Blessing for everyone. Well, yeah, of course. I guess it's how you look at it. So what are different, I guess, advantages and disadvantages of working from home? And I know that it took you a while probably to adjust to working from home as well, right? Because of course you worked at the office for a while before moving back home.
Yeah, so I worked about 5 years in the office before moving to remote work. And for me, the biggest advantage of remote work is no distractions and noise that you would typically get in the office. Because usually...
But there are little kiddies coming in every now and then.
Well,
distraction.
Now currently, yes, but usually the kids are in the kindergarten and you can enjoy your work in peace. But yeah, now with the quarantine situation, indeed is a little bit different because the kids are staying at home and
so how
they come from time to time.
How are you managing with kids being at home now?
Well, we have split the work with the kids with my wife. So when I'm working, the kids are more spending more time with my wife. And then after work, I give my share to the family.
Great. Well, also, can you tell us how did you adapt? How are you actually looking after your physical health? Because I know that initially when you started working from home, you did put on weight a bit as well. But then very quickly, you changed something, the way you move, the way you exercise, your daily routine and so on. So how do you look after that physical health? And of course, I know that you've been training and you ran a marathon last September as well. So share some tips how to look after your physical health.
Yeah, in the beginning, as you mentioned, it was a change in the lifestyle because you don't need to go to the office, and when you're sitting at home all the time, the foods and snacks are always there, and you can reach everything, and just sometimes you think, yeah, it's let's say I eat some nuts or it's not, nuts are healthy, but it depends on the amount you consume. And if you eat too much of them, it becomes too much at the end. And then, yeah, I decided to change a little bit. And yeah, what I did is I introduced a regular exercise a couple of times, like 3-4 times per week, but in the evenings or in the mornings or as well. And then also changed my diet a little bit to more healthy nutrition, and also to keep healthy. It's not, I would say this is not only when you are working remotely from home, but also when you're working from the office. Yeah, I make some regular breaks, at least every 2 hours, take some small break, walk a little bit, or sometimes I do some squats or some push-ups just to keep my blood pressure,
Yeah, that's great. And obviously, this is one big thing that our working environment kind of limits us and expects that we're supposed to be working 9 to 5 all throughout, with a little lunch break in between. But in reality, our bodies are not designed to operate this way. We are supposed to be working just exactly like you do, in a short burst of intense focus where you're focusing your energy and working on something, but then it needs that break where you can go for a walk, do a little physical activity, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just, few minutes of physical exercise and change in focus that can really rejuvenate and re-energize you and keep you going.
Yeah, it also helps clear your mind. Sometimes you're working on some task, and especially if you're stuck, it is good to just stop doing that, switch to another item, or just take a small break. And then after that break, you come back and suddenly you realize that the solution was always in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having clarity to look at the right things. And how do you look after your well-being, overall kind of mental health and well-being? Because there is one thing to look after yourself physically and exercise and eat healthier and take regular breaks, but how do you manage, what I find very interesting, that you are so disciplined. You work at those very regular times. You complete all of your assignments. I think for me, when I started working from home, it was very difficult to stick to what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just so easy to wander off and do something else. So how do you keep so focused? How do you keep your kind of head clear and still that mental performance going?
Yeah, so this is one of the disadvantages from working from home. This requires quite some discipline. It is very easy to wander off to do some other tasks that are not related to your work. But for me, I found it best that I just, in the beginning, when I started working remotely, I wanted to work a little bit with the different hours. But then I realized that it is easier for me to work at the same time like the other people are working in the office. So then I have set up exact hours. This is when I start, this is when I finish. And those hours correspond to the hours of other colleagues that are working in the office.
Mm.
This is one of the key things, and also to keep the mental well-being. It is necessary to have some social life, because working from home, you don't meet people, and when you have a break, you are just there alone and don't have other colleagues to chit chat a little bit. So I found that even if we have a call with colleagues via teleconferencing software, to just talk a little bit, and to also try go outside to have fresh air every day if it's possible, just to
if you're allowed to get out.
yeah, if you're allowed to get out.
Yeah.
If you're not allowed, at least you go out to the balcony or open the window,
Yeah,
and
fresh air, it's very, very important. Absolutely. And of course, you are very lucky to have a separate designated space to work from. So how is it important to set those boundaries between that's my working space and that's my resting space, that's my exercise space?
Yeah, for setting up a workspace, I think this would be priority number one. Otherwise, it's very hard to keep work-life balance under control. I'm lucky because I have a separate room which I dedicated for my office. So I still, when I finish my work, I go out from the office, I close the office doors, and then I'm home. So I'm not anymore at work. But I also, if someone doesn't have a room that they can dedicate, you can achieve the similar results by just having a corner in a room where it's more quiet, and you have a desk where you set up everything, and then also just have this place dedicated for work, not just like work anywhere where you see like on a dining table or on a couch in front of the TV.
Absolutely. I think that is so important. And even if we look at how our brain works, that actually our specific states of how we are feeling, performance states, our emotional states are very much related and linked to our environment. And if we are consistently using the same environment, the same setup for one task, then it's like optimizing our brain for that specific performance. And if we are moving and shifting and changing all the time, your subconscious brain gets confused. It doesn't, how difficult it is for you to get into that working state if, the day before you were relaxing in the same spot or watching a movie or playing with kids. So it's very important that we set those boundaries and have designated places for fun, for sleeping, for working. It's very, very important. Even when I was working from my previous house and I didn't have separate office space like I have now, I just had different chairs in a different corners of the house. And if I feel like I cannot concentrate anymore and if I can't work, I would always get up and go and have my coffee and break sitting on a different chair in a different corner of the room. And when I ready to work, I'd go back to my desk and make sure that that desk is only for that performance working mindset. Yeah. And so you've touched a little bit about that work-life balance, and of course it's important setting those boundaries, having specific start and finish times. What else do you do to balance your family time with your work and make sure that it doesn't affect each other?
Yeah, I think the most important is what we already mentioned, is to separate what is work, what is home, and have the boundaries, and having dedicated hours when you're working helps with that. And then I think it's the same as regular office work. You leave your workspace and then you're home, and then you spend time with the family or your hobbies or anything else that is not work related.
Yeah. And do you ever work in your pajamas?
Usually no. It's for me it's I think it's one of the rituals to get into the working mode is like you wake up, you dress up properly, and then have some coffee, and it's not that like you wake up with pajamas and start working. directly. Yeah, I think it wouldn't be that, at least for me, it wouldn't be, well, it would be harder to get into the working mood.
Yeah, I think definitely overall morning routine, I think, is so important in setting ourselves up for that day and setting up for that high performance. And if we can create that automatic routine, what is it exactly that you do? Like you say, those rituals, that there is that transition period of that journey, you going to work, is definitely very important to create that. And for me as well, sometimes it's not just necessarily, it's not about others. It's not how about others are seeing you. There are days when I'm not talking to anybody online and I don't need to go out to meet clients, but I'm also making sure that I'm dressed, and it's giving you that different kind of attitude to work, that you're ready. It's how you feel about yourself. If you are in your lounging pajamas, how productive can you really be? Well, in my opinion, that might work for some other people. So yeah.
Yeah, it might work if you are selling mattresses.
Evaldas, I don't know, were you the first person in your company who started working on long-time remote work, or were there some other remote workers before?
Yeah, I was the first person. Yeah. Before that, we occasionally did have some work done remotely, but like
Just
1 or 2 days, yeah, occasionally for a short time.
So what adjustments did your employers had to make for you to make that happen?
Well, luckily for us, we already had two departments in different countries. So we already had all the infrastructure set up, so all the teleconferencing software and all the schedule for the meetings. In our company, we're using Scrum methodology, so every morning we have a daily stand-up meeting. So yeah, we already had pretty much everything set up. Therefore, migration from office to remote work was pretty much effortless for me.
Okay, great. And how do you manage your team remotely? Because I know that since you started working, you were just a software developer, and now then you moved to the ranks to senior and lead software developer, and now you have quite a big team who are working internationally in all different corners of the world. So what would be your suggestions and tips for those other people who now suddenly have to manage their teams remotely? How do you supervise their performance? How do you communicate to them? What advice would you give to those who need to lead and manage over the distance?
I think that the key is a mutual trust between those that are working in the office and those that are working remotely. Also, what is very important is to have proper procedures in place. Well, how you work, etc. And if you use some project management software, most of the companies do use these days, and you need to make sure that all those tools are available for everyone, regardless from where they are, and also to have some teleconference software, to have some meetings set up. And of course, it's important if you also have some team building events in order to for those people that for all the team to meet and spend time together. Also, get to know each other better, because yeah, if you're working remotely and only know someone from the video, it's not that interesting. Maybe
it might not be an option, obviously, right now. Well, everyone is pretty much on the lockdown in their own homes. Absolutely, but it's definitely contact is important, and I think what you are highlighting is clear communication and clear expectations. So who's doing what, when, and how, and having that accountability of reporting as well, so that checking on each other, right? You can support each other and help each other and make sure that people deliver on time.
Yeah, so usually what we do is like every morning we have those daily stand-up meetings in which we are saying that what I did yesterday, what I'm doing now or today, and if I have some issues that I mentioned them so others can help me. And of course, we are always available for each other if someone has some questions or someone got stuck a little bit. And also, flexibility is also needed, especially at those moments like we have now.
Yeah, I think it's really nice that you have that culture of having those morning meetings that have very clear structure, and you're saying that this is exactly what we need to be getting out of this meeting, and you're saying this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm going to do today, this is one thing I'm struggling with, and everybody can chip in to help and support. This is brilliant. So I hope this will be useful for a lot of other people who are finding suddenly themselves working remotely and they've never done that before. So to summarize, so what is it that we got the most out of this? So how do you make the most out of working home? So having designated space, having very clear boundaries between your working time and home time. So when are you starting work? When are you finishing? Taking regular breaks, making sure you are exercising regularly as well during those breaks. Having clear communication with the team, having clear expectations, still creating that culture of support and belonging with each other. Having your morning routine and preparation so you can help yourself to get into that performance state of working. What else?
Yeah, also proper setup, I think, because when you have your say home office, it is good to clear a space and set up everything that it's comfortable for you to work, especially if you're looking to work for more long term. And of course, keep yourself disciplined.
Definitely, discipline and that environment and clear boundaries are very, very important. So what would be the most important piece of advice that you could give to everybody who's now suddenly found themselves in this situation, locked in their houses, suddenly forced to work remotely?
Well, I would say look at the bright side. Now you don't spend any time in commuting, so you can spend more time with your family.
Great. I think there's always a good side to every negative scenario, and it's good to look at that and see what is the benefit of this, what I can make the most out of it. So yeah, Evaldas, thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think one more advantage when everyone is locked down now at home, you can save some money, not spending them on Starbucks and avocado toast.
Great. Though I've heard that people do eat a lot at home now as well, so it's difficult to keep yourself disciplined in different kind of ways. But absolutely, I think it's very, very interesting point. Thank you.
Yeah, but also you can look at it as an opportunity to improve your discipline, because if you're staying at home and you have the snacks that you can always eat, try to discipline yourself, learn it, and maybe it's a good opportunity now to improve your discipline a little bit.
So how exactly do you do that? I mean, there is one thing to say, well, you have to be disciplined, but how do you do that? It's not that easy thing to do. What can help those who are struggling to keep the discipline?
I think it's the same like with the work-life balance. For me, what I found, what works best is not to limit myself completely from anything, but try to reduce it and just, let's say, if I want to have some dessert, I'll eat it, let's say, after the breakfast, but then I don't eat it after the dinner. So I think it's you need to.
One dessert a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably about setting times for yourself as well, that you only eat at specific times, you only, work at specific times, so it becomes easier to manage that, and also not having any snacks around you while you work, kind of forcing yourself to kind of get out and go for a walk and exercise and eat separately. That would probably be helpful.
Yes, I agree. It's the same like with the setting working hours. Yeah, setting eating hours. It also helps because you have more structure in.
So I guess preparation is more important than just doing it, right?
Yes.
Great. And is your wife equally happy having you working from home?
Especially now when the kids are staying at home, she's very happy that I'm working from home.
Great, wonderful. So it's great also, good to see that weather is getting better. So sunshine always adds a little bit more positivity to our lives. And I really hope that this video is helpful to all the rest of us who are stuck and have suddenly found themselves needing to work from home. And thank you, Evaldas, for your insights. And I really hope it will be used by many people. Thank you very much.
I'm glad that I was able to help.
Thank you. Bye there.
Bye-bye.